4 and I'm out and about. It's one of those things you don't want to be out in it all the time, but, you know, let's face it, most tradespeople are over here, but I don't have to be, so you sort of pick and choose your times when you do stuff, but sometimes plants have just got to be watered, regardless of how you feel about the temperature. But anyway, I've been using the little misting fan. I was going to buy a $400 Honeywell evaporative cooler, and I thought, can you justify $400 on a friggin' aquarium pump, a bit of, well, it's basically cardboard. It is literally cardboard, what they make the cooling pads out of, and a lousy bloody $10 desk fan built into it. Now, I might make one myself. And then I thought, oh, the time I piss around with all this stuff, God, just go and buy something. But the thought occurred to me that because of the steel roof here and the way it all works, how it sort of works in the morning, because it's double gable, it's like 2 pitches. I'll take you to the front so you can see. It heats up the side with a solar fridge and the kitchen and the bathroom in the morning, although the bathroom's so well shaded by the plum tree it sort of doesn't really heat up at all because it's under shade. Heats up all this side, and the rooms in there and in this piece of gable get hot. Then as the sun's going down, like so in the morning your bedroom's cool, and then as the sun's going down you have the door of the kitchen open and it's starting to cool off and your bedroom is as hot as hell. And then you got to go to bed. In the room that was last facing the sun, that's as hot as hell, I got that evaporative cooler, like the swamp cooler, but I don't actually use the thing because it's a Chinese piece of crap. The cooling pad is literally not even a foot by a foot in size, and it's just bloody pitiful. It might actually put out a bit of cool when it's on low, but if it did, I could never feel it. But it definitely doesn't do anything on high, I'll tell you that. And I've used that to transfer cool outside air from outside into the room. So what tends to happen is when your sun sort of gets down and starts to, you know, you have your sunset, and then shortly thereafter, or round about the time the sun's, you know, about to set, there's a period that comes in the space of about 15 minutes, the temperature just goes bang and just drops like a stone. And then you've got cool outside air, but a warm room inside. And so I run the evaporative cooler, swamp cooler, without any water in it, just really to use the blower to suck the cool air from outside in and push the hot air out through the little vent that's up against the top of the wall and all that. Sort of works all right. I used to put it on for an hour, and then I realised I only need to put it on for half an hour. And last night I put it on for half an hour, and it really still didn't cool the room, so I put it on for another half an hour. But this is a thing that the thought occurred to me that I'm fighting to try and cool a hot building. The building has built up thermal mass. With a steel roof, inside the roof space there's a whole lot of hot air. Yeah, there's plenty of insulation. There's even radiant foil, silver paper, whatever you want to call it, sucking insulation, which is what it's technically called. But it's still hot. The room's still hot. The building itself has that thermal mass, and you've got to fight to cool the frickin' building down and then cool yourself down. It's a stupid idea when you can just walk outside and it's cool outside. So why don't I sleep outside? And that's what I have been considering doing. I have looked at a couple of different brands, basically fold back lounges that are, well, they got about 2 inches of foam mattress on the top of some of them. I've seen a couple of expensive ones. There's another one that's sort of a really thick injection moulded plastic one that comes with a decent, it's nearing more than 3 inches probably of mattress foam, and I may very well just buy one of them and set up on the front lawn. This misting fan wasn't cheap. It was about $324. But, you know, that's 2 batteries, and 5 amp hour battery and a 2.5 amp hour and a charger and the fan itself. And I'll tell you what, I've been using this thing with a 2.5 amp hour battery. It's still going. It's right. The consumption levels of water are right. It's about 1 1/3. It's 5.1 litres per hour, which works out about 1 1/3 gallons per hour. And, well, at the moment, I'm actually using it off rainwater out of the little rainwater tank there, which I've filtered using, well, basically a polyester shirt just to get the bloody wrigglers out. And there's an odd bit of leaf coming through as well, so it's no good. So I just hold the shirt over the outlet and then fill up the new watering can I got last week, and off she runs. But what you got to really do, it's you might be able to notice she's a little bit wet on the ground now on the veranda, and wet out to here. And then there's me seat at about. See, what you got to do is you got to move your seat or the fan the right distance so that you are just out of range of getting wet. And if your pants are getting wet, well, then you're too close. If you can just get it out of the range, only by 6 inches or so of where you are to get wet, that is the perfect place to be, because it is like an evaporative cooler, a swamp cooler, at absolute flat knacker best conditions. Any further away, you know, you get too far away and you'd get a little bit of the effect, but it's not as good. And you get too close and you get too wet. So you just go past the point of where you're getting wet, and what do you know? It works like a bloody beauty. And I'll tell you what, it has quite a significant temperature drop. And the beauty about these outdoor couches is the mattress material is actually made, and the outside of the mattress covering is UV resistant, and it's made to get rained on, basically. So it's not like grabbing a mattress from inside and using it outside and then it all goes rusty and goes mouldy. These are deliberately made not to go mouldy in rain over winter, not to be affected by UV sunlight. And I get one of those and move the misting fan into the right place, or the lounge into the right place, and I'll be sleeping outside, and I intend to sleep outside this summer. It's a lot better an idea than fighting like a dog, trying to cool down a hot building, and then trying to cool yourself down as well. It's just dumb. With the pump on low, that's your 5.1 litres per hour, your 1 1/3 gallons per hour. Realistically, you don't want it on high, because there's enough mist and water and shit going everywhere with it on low. It's unbelievable how it's not using much water, but the damn ground is wet, and you got plenty of water. Seems to be going everywhere out of such a highly efficient mister. It's sort of quite surprising. So, although I've got a second speed, I don't think I'd ever use it in the shit fit. Yeah, so I am definitely pleased with that. With the 5 amp hour battery I've got, if you just run the fan on low, and generally I do run the fan on low, you will actually, if you don't use the misting part, if you just use the fan on low, according to the specs, you'll get 18 hours of fan use out of that one battery. I've had it running on misting almost all the time, and the fan, like the pump set at low, and the fan set at low, and I've gotten, hours, flaming hours out of it. You know, it's 5 hours and I'm still going? No joke. Off a 2.5 amp hour battery. You can tell it's slowing down, but I'm still going. 4 or 5 hours of use later, with it on misting and low pump speed and the fan on low speed. So it's, yeah, she's a little ripper, and I am bloody pleased that I made the move and got something that is above just a fan blowing at me and takes advantage of some sort of an evaporative cooling effect. And hopefully that covers most of my issues. So this is the thing, when you start to step into the territory of running air conditioners all night, you start to step into real big inverters and real big dollars for solar systems and real big battery banks, and things are just sort of a little bit, I can't justify the cost. Let's put it like that. You know, this state that I'm in is considered one of the cooler states of Australia, and it's not that hot for that long, that, not in Australian terms, hot anyway, that it's really worth, you know, spending $1,000 on an air conditioner and then having to fuel the generator up. I used my sister's one that time. That caused such a surge that it would be battling to even start it up, because the surge would be so hard on the generator that the voltage would drop. And even though I think the generator's 2,640 watts apparently, that's ongoing rating, I don't know what the surge is, and this was only 1,200 watts, this air conditioner that she lent me. It would surge so hard. It's got this thing where to cool the evaporator down to the rest of the temperature of the room, it circulates air through for 5 minutes, and then it goes to kick the compressor on. But the compressor surge would be so hard that it would actually cause a voltage drop that would turn the electronics off, and then the compressor would stop, and then the generator would, boom, not be under so much load. You'd hear it kick under terrible load, and then it'd come back up again. And then the electronics would boop, boop, reset themselves, and you'd be waiting for another 5 minutes of just circulating air slowly with a blower before it had another go at the compressor. It would take 5 to 8 times before it would actually hold through that surge and fire off without a problem, without the electronics turning off and back on due to voltage drop caused by the massive surge of the compressor. You know, there are non-piston compressors, rotary compressors, in a handful of box air conditioners, and you really got to go searching. I knew they had them back when I was a truck driver, because I delivered one to a department store. And, you know, this is the thing. When I got that air conditioner going, I'd run it, and it would cool the bloody room beautifully. You know, you'd be back to, like, shit, like, you know, not a problem. It'd be back to friggin' 71 degrees Fahrenheit, you know, about 21 Celsius, whatever. Beautiful. You turn the generator, the air conditioner and the generator off, you give it 5 minutes and the bloody room would heat up again. And you just think, well, what was all that about? You know, it's just, yeah, there's some things white people do that don't make sense, but they do them out of habit. And I think of a lot of old British things, old traditions, you know, of having bloody 3 friggin' forks and 5 spoons and washing all these dishes, and they spend so much time pissing around with dishes, but nobody wants to look low enough to eat off paper plates. Well, you know, I hate dishes badly. And so why stick to a tradition that doesn't make sense? I couldn't care what it looks like if I'm eating off paper plates, because the fact is nobody sees me eating off paper plates anyway. You know, same goes for this idea of, you know, sticking inside a building just because that's where your bed is. What's the point, you know, fighting like a dog trying to cool a building if you can just step outside and it's cool anyway? And, you know, you don't have to worry about the thermal mass of the building keeping you hot all night. You know, you got to fling away some of these stupid traditions and these stupid ideas and think a bit outside the box. And yeah, I decided that inside the box was too warm, so I was going to get out the box and sleep outside, and that's what I fully intend to do regardless of any snakes, but no snakes would be too worried about me unless they can maybe smell the water coming off a misting fan, but then they're going for the water, not for me. And I doubt I'd really see any trying to lick the water off the ground in the middle of the night. Snakes tend to like rocks during the warmth of the day, and they can smell water, but hey, look, I've faced enough snake debacles and survived them all so far. Whoopie-doo.